Welcome back to another Smash Ultimate moveset. Today we're returning once again to the world of indies, taking on a popular character who's more than ready for a fight, Zagreus from Hades. Hades is a roguelike action RPG released on September 17th, 2020 for PC and Switch following 2 years of early access. Coming to us from Supergiant Games, who previously made other well-received action RPGs Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre, we play as Zagreus, son of Hades trying to break out of the underworld. I won't go into too much plot so you can experience it for yourselves, and instead focus on why this game has exploded in the gaming community like it has. As a roguelike, gameplay is framed by procedurally generated room progressions in various underworld settings as Zagreus battles through, gaining rewards and power-ups. This includes boons, gifts from the Olympian gods that can drastically alter your playstyle and make or break your run. The constant death common in roguelikes is also embraced under this immortal context. The gameplay is addictive and engaging, but it's the story, writing, and acting that really seals the deal. Each run not only helps you improve your gameplay, but furthers the plot as you discover more about your cause and interact with the interesting cast of mythological characters. Characters have complex motives and nuanced relationships, and this constant development helps the game feel not pointlessly grindy, especially after multiple victories. Plus, we've been in quarantine and everyone is lonely. Hades has been universally praised, winning multiple awards and being considered one of the best games of 2020 by many people. I can't say I blame them, as I myself haven't stopped playing this game as of late and think it deserves most of the accolades it's taken home. Zagreus is as compelling a character to learn about as he is to play as, making him one of the many indie reps who would be a perfect fit for Smash Bros. Should Zagreus find himself among the legendary warriors of Smash, let's figure out what it'd be like to see him there. Zagreus would come wielding the Stygian Blade, his starting and signature weapon. There's a handful of different weapons in Hades, but besides stealing some attack ideas, I thought it best to stick with the blade. As another sword wielder, there's plenty to pull from and reference in his Smashification. I feel Zagreus would be closer to a Fire Emblem type than a Hero or Link. Bear with me though, as with any new fighter, the moveset justifies the addition. He'd be somewhere in the middle of Marth and Ike, graceful and smooth, but still with big, hefty swings. Zagreus would sit alongside Snake, Rob, and Banjo in weight, and between Donkey Kong and Pichu in run speed. The idea would be to make Zag moderately durable, but needing to focus on movement to get in and out at the right time. Now for the more aesthetic embellishments. Zagreus' swaps come from the other characters and locations in Hades. His default, a blue and gold alt for Meg, a tan and light greenish yellow alt pulling triple duty for Achilles, Dusa, and Persephone, a dark green and lime alt for Tartarus, orange and yellow alt for Asphodel, aqua and purple for Elysium, a white, gold, and blue alt for a more traditional Greek look and pulling from Theseus, and a purple, black, and faded gold look for characters like Nyx and Thanatos. He would stand straight with his sword at the ready, losing the sword for his idle animation like his normal weaponless sprite. His walk and run also pulls straight from the game. Zagreus would enter the stage through a whirling mix of blood and shadowy darkness. If the blood is too much for Smash, then maybe switch it to fire. For taunts, up taunt has him run a hand through his hair, side taunt has him reach forward at a spark in front of him that flashes away, and down taunt has him put a sword on his shoulder and give a beckoning head nod. His victory poses would show a powerful slash with the sword, emerge jumping out of a pool of blood and standing tall, or just like a more generic glowing pool if needed, and walking away into a bright light as doors close behind him as if moving on to the next room. Finally, for a few small touches, you could show Aegis the Shield of Chaos in his shield animation. If another player is close enough for your side taunt, a little nectar icon could appear, and in general, I think having Zag be more talkative than others with lots of situational dialogue would be a good way to express the game and his character. Let's focus back in on the more fundamental part of Zagreus' inclusion with his moveset. Because most of the variety in combat comes from stat changes and effects in the game, he doesn't have a huge variety of animations to pull from, especially with the sword alone. I had to take some creative liberties, and certain sections won't be super fleshed out. Zagreus' jab combo is the basic combo from the game, with a horizontal slash, vertical chop, and stab forward. It's great for racking up damage, but enemies at higher percentages might get knocked too far away by the chop to get hit by the strong finishing stab. F tilt is a similar singular slash in the other direction. Up tilt is a short-ranged uppercut with the butt of the sword, a little reminiscent of the Twin Fist special. Down tilt is a low sweeping spin slash that slightly moves you backwards, which can lead to interesting movement and positioning. And dash attack is a shoulder charge, kinda like his non-attacking dash or his charge with the shield. His grab and throws are all very basic, grabbing with his open hand and pummeling with the sword, throwing enemies away with big slashes. His nair and fair are a basic slash and vertical chop respectively, very similar to his basic combo but more so pulled from his flurry slash upgrade. Up air and bair are more slashes, and down air is a spinning slash referencing his charged attack with the Eternal Spear. Onto his stronger smash attacks, F smash is a huge chop forward based on the Wood Splitter upgrade, dealing a ton of damage. Up smash is a straight stab upwards, which is extremely strong but requires precision, and down smash is a short hop forward and stab into the ground, strongest at the sword but causing small damage in a short area around him. This is based on the Dash Nova attack. Now for his specials, all pulled pretty directly from the game. Neutral B is Cast. With a limited stock of 3 shots, Zagreus shoots a small crystal that slightly homes to enemies, does a little damage, and latches onto them. Enemies with the cast lodged in them will take slightly boosted damage, compounding with all 3 casts. These will stay in the enemy for something like 10 to 15 seconds, then fall out and need to be collected by getting fairly close to them. Side B is Dash Strike, similar to Ike's but with a quicker charge into a stab that travels a shorter distance. And up B is Nova Smash. On the ground, Zagreus simply flips and slams the ground, dealing good damage on either side with a shockwave. But in the air, Zagreus will do a short jump, then slam down with the strike. Not too far off from Shulk's side B, but with more verticality in the air and a hair more horizontal movement. So far so basic, right? Nothing too exciting. Well, that's where down B comes in to shake everything up. I kinda buried the lead here with Zag's gimmick, but I think it's a good middle ground of Shulk's Monado and Hero's Menu that allows Zagreus to alter his gameplay and incorporate the roguelike elements of his game. Down B is called Olympian Boons. Pressing and holding will make 2 circular boons appear over Zagreus with 2 randomly selected gods present each time. You then choose left or right and release to get their power with a short voice clip, or shield cancel to re-roll for a different boon. I want the boons to feel important, so they should last fairly long, but should still disappear over time to keep things balanced. With that established, let's go through what each god offers you and revisit the key parts of the moveset. Going through alphabetically, we start with Aphrodite as the example. Each god has a more active and more passive way they influence the moveset. With Aphrodite, the passive aspect is having your attacks pull enemies in more than usual, to mimic the idea of attraction. As for the active aspect, this is the god's signature ability in Hades that becomes active with all of your smash attacks and specials. Aphrodite's ability is called Weak. Any enemy struck with an Aphrodite smash or special will deal decently reduced damage for something like 10 seconds. The boons affect specials in more unique ways, besides up B, meaning you basically just add the weak effect to your damage. Neutral B becomes the Crush Shot, a short-range shotgun-like blast with greatly increased damage from the normal cast. And side B becomes Passion Dash, working the same but having a blasting radius of weak at the end of the attack. That's the basic framework. Boons change a specific part of your stats, make smash and special attacks inflict a specific effect, and outright changes your cast and dash strike. Let's move through a little quicker now. Next is Ares, with nothing fitting the god of war better than dealing increased damage. His effect is Doom, causing a second strong strike a few seconds after your initial attack. Catching foes with this in the air can be great for kills, as it's based on a percentage of damage caused by the initial move. Your cast becomes Slicing Shot, firing a Blade Rift forward that racks up good damage and carries enemies like Greninja's special but doesn't lodge, and your dash strike becomes Blade Dash, leaving a Blade Rift behind you. Artemis gives your smashes and specials the chance of a critical strike like Hero, and in general moves will be able to draw you into enemies if you were just out of reach. Your cast becomes True Shot, which moves faster and is nearly impossible to escape as it has greatly amplified Seeking. And your side B becomes Hunter Dash, which will lock onto the nearest enemy. Athena gifts you with the best defense of the gods, with decreased knockback and allowing some moves to armor through attacks that wouldn't normally be able to. She also gives you Deflect, making your stronger moves able to reflect projectiles. Your cast becomes Fouling Shot, a slower moving projectile that deals okay damage and doesn't lodge but deflects, making it a ranged reflector, and your dash becomes Divine Dash, with deflect and providing you with super armor. Demeter equips your blade with a frosty aura that extends the hitbox with a weaker cloud of cold. She also gives you Chill, with smashes and specials stacking to slow enemy movement. Your cast becomes Crystal Beam, dropping where you stand and firing a laser that slowly tracks the closest enemy and stays active for 7 seconds. Your dash becomes Mistral Dash, shooting a gust of chill in front of you to reach and slow farther enemies. The party boy Dionysus was a little weird to think of a passive effect for, so I decided on making you a little more floaty with increased control in the air and a higher jump. His active effect is Hangover, basically poisoning enemies. Your cast becomes Trippy Shot, launching like a grenade and exploding in a cloud of poisonous festive fog, and your dash becomes Drunken Dash, gliding for longer and blasting Hangover at the end. Hermes is another weirder one as he doesn't really have much of his own effects, but was clearest for his passive effect. Hermes would greatly increase your movement and attack speed, similar to Shulk's Speed Monado or Hero's Accelerado. He would also give you a short hover in the air. I decided to use Greater Evasion as his active effect, giving you a chance to dodge attacks. Your cast would function as normal but become Flurry Cast, rapid firing the 3 casts at once and instantly dislodging from foes by tapping B again. Your dash strike would also stay the same but come out immediately upon tapping. Poseidon's powerful waves lend themselves easily to greatly bolstering the knockback of all your attacks. Think of it like adding a little bit of Squirtle's Neutral B or Mario's Flood to your moves. His status effect is Rupture, causing foes to take damage on movement for a short time. Your cast becomes Flood Shot, a huge slash attack with great knockback, and your dash becomes Tidal Dash with a similarly large wave at the end of the move. And finally, the father of the gods, Zeus. Zeus gives your weapon an electric tinge that increases your range. His effect is Jolted, making the enemy's next attack cause them to take small electric damage that interrupts them. Smart enemies can cancel out of this by shielding, but it could save your life against more aggressive fighters or screw up a recovery attempt. Your cast becomes Electric Shot, a fast lightning bolt that does chain damage to nearby enemies, and finally your dash becomes Thunder Dash, striking nearby enemies with lightning along the way. Last but not least, Zagreus' final smash is called Call, and is also influenced by your current boon. In general, these will allow you to move around and attack like Piranha Plant or Inkling's final smash as the gods wreak havoc, unleashing huge circular blasts around the stage, like your battle with Theseus. Let's go through one more time. Aphrodite has you constantly fire heart-shaped explosions that bring enemy damage output down to near zero. Ares surrounds you with an invulnerable blade rift that causes tremendous damage and draws them into you. Artemis fires critical only arrows, blasting foes all around. Athena makes you completely deflect anything as either a reflector or counter. Demeter unleashes a massive freezing vortex, sending opponents flying in a block of ice. Dionysus covers the stage in a deadly fog of poison. Hermes makes all of your attacks a deadly long-range dash as you fly around the stage, assisted by projectiles from Charon. Poseidon surrounds you in a riptide that flings enemies away, and Zeus causes massive lightning strikes to emanate all around you. If you are not currently using a boon, using Call instead summons good old dad Hades to surround you in flame and fire huge flame pillars and skulls at enemies. There were a few other things I considered with the boon mechanic. One was needing to fill a meter like Cloud or Joker before summoning, but I didn't want down B to be useless until charged. Another was allowing you to allocate certain boons to specific specials and let you completely customize yourself each stock, but that took away from having one god define your playstyle for a time and influence your whole moveset. I also considered adding a Hades boon because it laid out so easily. Your passive bonus would be added fire damage, your smashes and specials would stun enemies, your cast would act like his skull attack in the game, exploding in a huge wave, and your dash would make you invisible from the start point until the end like you're disappearing into darkness. Maybe that could still become a thing during the Hades final smash, but overall I think it's best to leave it out. That completes Zagreus' moveset. While on the surface he's a fairly standard sword fighter, utilizing the boons and their randomness can completely change how you play the game and let you customize your fighting on the fly, similar to playing Hades itself. But now that it's all set in stone, let's move on to the other fantastic content Hades could bring to Smash. Zag's stage will be important to his classic mode route, so let's cover that first. His stage would simply be called Hades, a traveling stage taking you to various sections of the underworld. Starting at the ground level of the House of Hades, you would then move through Tartarus, Asphodel, and finally Elysium before dipping into darkness at Theseus and Asterius' Colosseum to return to the house. I considered making this a scrolling stage, but those are kind of out of fashion for Smash now, so I think something more like Delfino, stopping at the varied locations, then being ferried in a large single platform boat by Charon would be best. There's a pretty large selection of music to choose from with this stage, but my choices were No Escape, Out of Tartarus, The Painful Way, Through Asphodel, Mouth of Styx, Scourge of the Furies, Field of Souls, River of Flame, Rage of the Myrmidons, The Exalted, The King and the Bull, and God of the Dead. Any of these would be great for remixes, but a remix of No Escape would be expected. When fighting on Battlefield or Omega, certain songs could be set to trigger certain versions of the stage as well. Zagreus' classic mode would mimic his progression throughout Hades. You would start in the Tartarus section of Hades fighting two Links focusing on down B to reference the fight against the Inferno Bombers. You then fight in Tartarus again against blue, yellow, and red Zero Suit Samuses as a fight against the Furies. Next is Asphodel fighting a giant Kirby with pitfall items as the Mega Gorgon mini-boss. Then staying in Asphodel, you fight 6 white Ridleys and 1 giant Ridley for the Bone Hydra boss fight. Killing the largest Ridley is the main objective. Then you move to Elysium and fight fight a Link and Giant Bowser for the fight against Theseus and Asterius. Finally, before the bonus stage, you fight a horde of small and giant Pikachus with flower items on the middle part of Castle Siege to reference fighting the rats and gigantic vermin. You would then finish things off with the boss fight against Ganon. Now moving on to spirits, bringing in the most iconic characters. Going through in power order lowest to highest, first we have Dusa, a novice support spirit that gives you a higher jump portrayed by a green Kirby with a high jump and pitfall item. Next is Cerberus, a novice defense spirit portrayed by 3 duck hunts with spicy curry. Then Achilles, an advanced support spirit giving you increased battering item damage portrayed by a green Sephiroth. Karen, an advanced grab spirit giving item gravitation portrayed by purple Dark Samus with high item spawning and item gravitation. Nyx, an advanced support spirit giving you critical health healing portrayed by black Palutena with the black hole item. Thanatos, an advanced grab spirit letting you spawn with Death's Scythe portrayed by black Marth wielding the scythe. Then we start getting into bosses and gods, with the Furies getting a joint Ace attack spirit with a dash attack bonus portrayed by those 3 Zero Suit Samuses again. The Bone Hydra, an Ace attack spirit with increased fire and explosion attacks similar to the classic mode fight against the Ridleys. Theseus and Asterius, with Link and Bowser reprising their roles as an Ace neutral spirit granting unflinching smash attacks. Chaos, an Ace defense spirit with trade-off ability portrayed by Mewtwo who jams your final smash meter. Then we have Hades, a legendary attack spirit with hyper smash attacks. This would be portrayed by a giant Zagreus with increased special damage who would not use down B, though I did consider Ike, Ganondorf, or Cloud for the spot, and he could also be replaced by a giant meat sword fighter. And rounding it out, we have the Olympian, sharing a legendary neutral spirit with fast final smash meter. This is a huge multi-part fight with giant fighters portraying each god. Red long-haired Bayonetta with the Deku Nut for Aphrodite, Hero's 4th ult with the Killing Edge for Ares, Green Zero Suit Samus with the Staff for Artemis, Palutena with the Franklin Badge for Athena, Female Corrin with the Freezy for Demeter, Purple Ken with the Flower for Dionysus, Pit with the Bunny Hood for Hermes, Blue Simon with the Ore Club for Poseidon, and Robin focusing on neutral B with the Lightning item for Zeus. And wrapping things up with Mii costumes, there's plenty of great choices, but we'll stay away from the Olympian gods. I think the best other choices would be a Hades Mii sword fighter, a Thanatos Mii sword fighter, a Meg Mii sword fighter, a Dusa hat, and a Cerberus hat. Now discussing Zagreus' chances. Generally, it doesn't seem like indie characters will be making a playable appearance in Smash Ultimate, only appearing as spirits, Mii costumes, and at best assist trophies. However, nearly every DLC fighter seems to break some fan rule or change the status quo, so that's not the main thing in Zag's way. Hades has gotten a tremendous amount of praise and started its console life on Switch after all. I still think it's far more likely that we'd eventually see a Zagreus Mii costume though. For one, there are plenty of potential newcomers from indie games with more support and history behind them, like the Knight from Hollow Knight, Quote from Cave Story, or the indie representation already in Smash, like Sans from Undertale, Cuphead, Shovel Knight, and Shantae. Personally, with all the hype building around Silksong, I think a Hollow Knight rep seems like Zagreus' biggest challenge right now. But the biggest roadblock to Hades joining the Smash universe is timing. Hades may have been in early access for about 2 years, but the game only came out 4 months ago as of making this video, with Fighters Pass 2 already having released Min Min and soon to release Steven Sephiroth. Every DLC fighter was certainly decided at least a year ago, and I highly doubt Sakurai would check out an early access indie game for a newcomer, the same way he examines Nintendo properties like Pokemon and Fire Emblem pre-release. If a third Fighters Pass should enter development or a new Smash game comes out down the line, then maybe Zagreus can make an appearance, but for now I think the timing keeps him from escaping the underworld. That concludes this episode. Let me know what you think, if you think Zagreus should get into Smash or not, or what you'd change about his inclusion. I'll be making Smash content once a month going forward, with next month being episode 9 of Ready Moveset Go. Go check out that series and my other movesets if you like this one. Be sure to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.